this is Keith Davidson of Albertson & Davidson. I wanted to take a minute to walk you through a petition for probate. The nice thing is that the petition is a pre-printed form, so it looks easy to complete. But there are a few tricky parts of it, so you need to look through the form very carefully and make sure that you have all the correct information before you file it with the court. So let's take a look at a petition for probate and see how you're supposed to complete one. First, you need to find a petition for probate. You can go to our website and click on the blog link at the top. Once on our blog, you can simply scroll down to the topics and choose the probate topic. Scroll down, there's a few different articles that we've posted, and here's our blog post on California probate forms. You can see that we've listed all of the most common probate forms right here. Many of them you'll be using throughout the probate process. Let's start with the petition for probate. This is the form petition for probate. This is the form that you're going to use anytime you have to file a probate in California. You start off by placing your name in the upper box. I'm going to use the name Bob Smith, and because he doesn't have a lawyer, he'll be appearing pro per. And then you put in your address. You can also put in your telephone number, fax number, and email address. In our example, Bob Smith is representing himself, so we'll put his name here as well. And then fill in the county where the petition will be filed. We'll use Riverside as an example. You'll put in the street address of the court, which you can find online at the court's website, and the mailing address, which often is the same address. You also put in the branch name of the court. Again, you can find that on the court's website. And then we'll fill in the name of the estate. This is the name of the decedent, and we'll use the name Mary Smith for our example. Now we have to select the type of petition we are filing. The first option is if you have a will. The second option is if you have a will, but the named executor is not acting. The third option is if the decedent died without a will. You can also ask for special administration, and you can ask to act with full authority. You should check this box even if you're not sure whether the court will grant it, just to be on the safe side. You'll select that publication will be arranged. You'll check if you're going to attach the will, if there is a will. And then you have to type in the name of the person who wants to be appointed as executor. In our example, it's Bob Smith. And we'll say that he is named in the will, so he actually will be named executor. We're asking that he receive full powers. And we're asking whether or not he needs to have a bond. Oftentimes a will waive a bond, so we'll select that option. We'll put in the date of death on item number 3 and the place at which death occurred. We'll then select that the decedent was a resident of this county, and then you have to type in the address of the decedent's residence. This will allow the court to verify that you filed your petition in the correct court. Now it's on to page 2. This is where you will put an estimate of the property in the estate. This does not have to be exact. The property will be appraised at a later time. This is really just a best guess. So we'll put in a set number of $5,000 for personal property. And then we'll estimate the gross income, both from real property and any personal property. The income from real property would be rental income, for example. And then we'll total all of those numbers. The form also wants to know the estimated value of any real property. Again, this does not have to be appraised at this time. We're just using our best guess for purposes of this form. And then we total it all up at the very end. These numbers are subject to change. once the probate opens. Again, we're going to tell the court that the will waives bond. If a bond were required, we would have to specify that here. This is if the decedent died without a will, which is called intestate, but in our example, the decedent died with a will, so we'll check that box and we'll put in the date of the will. We will then want to check the box if the will has self-proving language. You can look at the end of the will and see if it has that language. We'll then say that the executor is named in the will, and we'll check that box. And we'll also tell the court that the proposed executor is a resident of California. If not, then we choose the appropriate boxes. Page 3 is probably the trickiest part of this form. This is where we have to tell the court who survived the decedent. In our example, we'll say a spouse, and we'll say that there were children that survived the decedent. You can see that there's a lot of choices here, and you need to check each box that applies. Next is item number 6. You only choose any of these items if the decedent died with a spouse but no issue. You only have to complete item number 7 if there was no spouse and no issue. On the next page, you will list each person who survived the decedent. In our example, there was a wife. She is an adult, and we would put in her address. We would also put in the name, age, and address for each child. So in our example, there's a son and a daughter. You don't have to put in the specific age. You can just list that they're an adult. If you have more people than fit on the form, you would check the attachment box, and then you put on the number of pages attached, which includes the number of pages in the will. We then fill in Bob Smith's name, since he's appearing as his own attorney, and we also put his name as the petitioner. This part is important because this form does have to be verified, so make sure that this is filled out and signed. I know that was a quick overview of the petition for probate. But take a look at the petition, go through it very carefully, go through each item, and make sure that you complete every section and every box. As long as you include as much information as possible, you'll be just fine. Then you can file the petition with the court and hopefully have it approved. You can find the other forms you'll need to file along with your petition for probate at our website, www.aldevlaw.com. And don't forget to check the court's website for any local forms as well.